Hello and welcome to a glorious day here on Sydney Harbour, relatively clear harbour for Heat 7 of the Manly 16ft Skiff Club Championship. I'm Jimmy Bury, and joining me in commentary today is a bloke that I thought would be sick of me after spending a week with me, Andrew Dolly Davola. G'day Dol, how are you?
Afternoon, Jimmy. Yeah, not too bad, mate. We've been pretty busy on the camera cat of late, but here we are again. Beautiful day at Manly for Saturday's Heat 6 of the Club Championship that we're going to be bringing to the viewers today.
Yeah, so it's actually Heat 7 because we had one that was scrubbed out.
Yeah.
Or, lack of wind or thereabouts. So, we're just currently the starters are just gibbering about what the course they're doing, but it looks like they've settled on windward leeward compass bearing of for the 16s at L3, which means 3 laps and they finish off a breeze, and for the 13s an L2. And Dol, the breeze seems to be abating. What is the weather situation?
Yeah, well, so 25 degrees here today in Sydney. We've got a very small incoming tide for most of the race, a flood tide, but very small, won't have a lot of effect. We've had a light southwest to south pretty much all morning, but just starting to see it tick around to the southeast a little now. We'll see if that's going to be beneficial, but at the moment we're probably only looking at 5, maybe 6 to 10 knots, 10 knots probably being the top end. I'm a little hopeful that if it gets around to the left, we might see it settle more at that sort of top end, 10 knot strength, but we'll see. But compass bearing course will be sailing up towards South Head, coming back down here to Manly.
Yeah, and I think that's the right course. Like, it's been south-southwest, as you said, Dole. So, at least for the compass bearing, gives our fill-in PRO, Hugh Lester, a good opportunity to move the course and keep it fair for everybody. Our normal PRO of Stephen Isles is obviously away for his son Andrew's wedding, which is up in the Blue Mountains this weekend. So all the best with that, Andrew. And obviously he's taken a lot of the regular sailors out of the boat, Dole, so there's a fair few new names.
Yet we didn't get an invite. A bit disappointed, I think, but yeah, congratulations to Andrew and his fiancée. As Jimmy says, we've got a lot of sailors are attending that wedding today, so we've got a lot of replacements. I'll just run through a few of those, particularly on some of our lead boats. But Bartley Constructions has Nathan Lilly and Riley Pike jumping in. Botany Scaffold has Felix Prince. Contemporary Pools, Daryl Millam. Fire Stopping, James King and Ben Lamb. Interesting combination on there on the fire stopping with Alex Hart. Then we've got Tammy Bauman, who we had sailing on the 18-footers, Jimmy, on the skiff ropes. Rockstar. So Tammy is filling in for Phil Harmer on the fluid building.
And she did a really good job on the 18 for the week, considering she was injured, and she kept subbing herself back in, so good on her.
Reckon, just crewing on an 18-footer, let alone carrying an injury. Finn Rodowitz jumping on Moon and Yachts with Dan Turner and Gus Williams, replacing Matt Stenner. Finn Rodowitz, a very worthy replacement. Alex Gerds on Nozomi, and great little combination. We've got Taylor Lee's steering Shebang in replacement of Ant King, with her dad Tim Lee's on the sheet, and Ollie Barrett, who's her normal 13-foot skiff crew. That's right.
All right, Dole. All those changes for the 16s, we'll quickly take it as they go into postponement, which helps us. We can take our time now and have a look at the overall results for the 16-footers first, I think. And pretty close and tied up the top there at the moment, Dole.
Certainly is. Modern Concept We did have some results come out during the week which didn't include all the races, confused a few people, but we've got Modern Concept on top. Kurt Hansen back steering today. 9 points, Moon and Yachts, Daniel Turner on 11. Imagine Signage, Nathan Wilmot 13. Red Pumps at Tyler Dransfield on 14. The sister Zoe on Red Pumps Red on 16. Imey Joel Beechel on 17. So you can see the rest of the places there, but you can see that top 6 very tight on points.
Yeah, it's still open to play for there, isn't it? And in the 13-foot skiffs, it's pretty much so a bit one-way traffic at the moment with young Heidi and Orlando on the Harkin, I believe.
Yeah, so, you know, they've been sailing exceptionally well again this season. Pretty big points gap there. Harkin back to Imey. Harkin on 5, Imey on 11. Ebix close on 12.6, Gemma Hopkins. Botany Scaffold, Sophie Hart having a good season, 17. Modern Concept Constructions, Tommy Cameron, 21. Red Pumps, Don Rowlandson, 22. And QED back on 23, David Tolk. So a little bit of a gap between first and second, but after that, pretty close on points. So still a bit to play for in the 13-foot skiffs too there, Jimmy.
Yeah, Dole, it's good to see, and a lot of these, I believe a lot of these 13 kids are stepping up into 16s next year, which is even better to see. And I'm just having a look at the course board on the back of the start boat, and they've changed that bearing to 145, Dole, so a 30-degree shift in the breeze to the left, as you were saying.
Yeah, look, I could see it before up. The yachts who were further up towards South Head sort of 5 minutes ago was pretty obvious the breeze was going around to the left. So, yeah, our starter has adjusted the course accordingly. And generally that makes it a pretty much left-hand track. At the moment on that left-hand track, there's quite a number of yachts. So that should make things interesting up that left-hand side.
Yeah, Middle Harbour Yacht Club's got a little race. I think it's actually a club race for once instead of a combined clubs race for them. So they're just sort of up in the vicinity of the Quarantine Beach there and working their way across the Sound and back down into Manly. So we are probably in the most congested part of Sydney Harbour as we speak. With that going on, we've also got the women's racing from next door at the Manly Yacht Club with the lasers and open bics, which is the skiff.
Open skiffs.
Open skiffs now, yeah.
That's right.
It's hard when they change things to get it right, but it's good to see. But the sun's trying its best to come through this cloud cover that was over us all morning, so things hopefully won't be postponed for too much longer and we can get some of this racing underway.
Yeah, as I said, Jimmy, with this cloud burning off a little bit and the breeze getting around to the left, I'm kind of hopeful it might settle in around that sort of 10-knot mark. And obviously all the boats that we've seen so far have got the big rig in, had a bit of a wander around the park. The majority were big headsail and tossing up whether to use their big or small centreboard. A couple of them had that conversation with me, hoping that I might give them some advice.
Some wisdom.
Yeah, but I played Switzerland on that one.
The other thing that I just noticed, just went past the camera boat, Dole, is that Tammy is actually steering the fluid. So,
wow, fantastic!
Look out, Bozo's off. No, Bozo's moved forward to on the sheet, and it looked like Dave Burkett up the bow. So,
oh, jeeps! So they're
or Bozo being Clint Bowen,
the boat owner. So I'd say their odds probably just increased from probably 6 to 1 to about 20 to 1 with Clint on the sheet.
Oh, well then it's got to shorten back up with Tammy on the tiller. So you got to have good odds on them.
Mate, if she's carrying an injury, I'm not surprised that she's on the helm. I think it's fantastic.
And there's a lot of guys from the that are sailing 16s, guys and girls who are sailing 16s today that sailed the JJ Gilton World Championships last week. And it was a pretty tight battle, came down to the final race, and it was something to behold that you couldn't write a script like that from our point of view with them. The Yandu buried and fought their way back enough just to scrape it in.
It was a pretty exciting day, and I'm sure some of our viewers tuned in for the 18-footers. But yeah, pretty exciting last day going into the last race, with Yandu having to finish within nine places of Finport, and at one stage they were back in about 15th or 16th with Finport in second, but they managed to get enough done. But as you say, Jimmy, a lot of our 16-foot skiff sailors doubling up, and especially at the front of the fleet, weren't they? I mean, we saw the majority of those lead boats in the fleet at the 18-footers had top 16-foot skiff sailors on board.
Yeah, and hard luck to the guys on Finport, Keegan York, Matt Stenter and Gussie Williams, who were a last-minute throw together with Phil Marshall's back with a damaged back, so he said he was good for one, but not for many. But and there's a new sponsor there, little black boat there on team, which is Texco.
Yes. Thing. Yep. You know a bit about what's been going on there, Jimmy, with the Texco, new sponsor to the club?
Yeah, new sponsor. They're a construction consulting company, and that's Angus Griffin and Goro.
Tomashimo.
There you go. Sorry, the paperwork I've got, I can barely read the writing.
Gayo Tomashimo with Angus Griffin, yeah.
Yep, and that's the AP down. So welcome to the club, guys, and we look forward to seeing more of you throughout the next season, and hopefully you finish off this season well. They've got Opti 29, a flying 11 background, so a good transition up to a 13, and then hopefully in a few years' time, a 16.
And another addition to the ever-growing 13-foot skiff fleet, which is incredible, just growing at phenomenal speed. And we're expecting more juniors stepping up to the 13-foot skiff next year. So great things happening with the 13-foot skiffs, with support from Manly, St George, and now a fleet building at Belmont 16s have decided to get the 13-foot skiffs on board, which is just phenomenal.
And a few birthday shout-outs for today, Dole. There's two. Who are they that you know of?
Oh, jeepers. I haven't really looked at Facebook this morning.
We got Niall.
Niall Powers, of course.
You did look, because you commented.
I did send Niall a message, yeah.
And the other one being our ex-Commodore, Malcolm Page.
Pagey, yep.
Sprightly 50-plus postage and handling.
Niall, I was a bit shocked. For those that don't know, Niall came through the junior fleet at Manly and soon became my assistant coach for many years. Sailed through the 13s, did some 16 sailing as well, and left us to go and take on the lead role at Royal Prince Alfred, and he's now moved on from there, and he's now the manager for Clubs New South Wales at Australian Sailing. So I know Niall's going to do great things in that role with Australian Sailing. Hopefully make some positive changes for the club sailing scene in, I think it's New South Wales and ACT as his role. So happy birthday, Niall. We're into 3 minutes 30 now, coming down to 3 minutes 30. There's fire stopping on screen there now, which we mentioned James King and Ben Lamb stepping into the crew positions. Alex Hart got shuffled forward a few times in recent weeks and got off the helm to get someone to skipper, so he crewed. He's got some crew injury problems and other sailing commitments, so Lockie Pryor, damaged knee for a little while now. Hope you're feeling better, Lockie, if you're watching. Hope you're on the improve, mate. Bit of an overview there. You can see the breeze is still pretty soft, but it is swinging around to the left, which is hopefully positive. Imey at the bottom of your screen there. Certainly, I'd expect them to be one of the key players today. Who are you liking today, Jimmy? Anyone in particular that you want to put the commentator's curse on?
Put the mocker on? This sort of weather at the moment sort of lends its way to Altus Consulting, where it's very shifty and, you know, sniff things out, and Phil Cook's definitely got the experience for that. Other than that, you'd be sort of expecting the likes of Modern Concept Constructions, after almost winning the last heat, to come out firing.
Yep.
And the other one, who is actually still been our training as of last night, is Red Pumps. So, you know, you can sort of throw a blanket over those guys.
Yeah, these conditions, I like Zoe in Red Pumps Red.
Okay.
With Hugh and Jamie. Huey super good at reading the breeze. Zoe's been sailing exceptionally well, so I'm hoping I'm not putting the curse on you, Zoe, if you watch this back later. But yeah, I'm expecting big things from both Zoe and Modern Concept. Like you say, mate, if the breeze picks up a little bit, Red Pumps, Tyler with Greg and Jay. And then, of course, you can never discount Nathan Wilmot and the boys on Imagine Signage when the breeze gets a little bit tricky. Nathan has a habit of picking shifts that other people can't see. So 1 minute, and the boats are starting to rack up, as you can see. Modern Concept Constructions looking for the boat end. Craig Nichols on Typhoon looks to be the most lured boat at the moment, but I think he might have just left the boat ramp and sailed out here intact.
He did go past us twice, I'll give him that much.
Usual Ed technique. Red Pumps and Moonan, Davis Marine, all looking for this boat end. Number of boats behind them possibly could get shut out here. Won't have space. You're about to see Bella Group flash in at the top end here. Sort of, there they are now. A little bit late. A little bit late in barging, but they might find a gap there if they're lucky. Counting down now. Here we go. I couldn't see the pin end, but it looked like a clear start. Bartley came through at the boat end like a ball out of a gate there, and Dan Bromelo, great start. He looked a little bit late, but he came through with speed.
And that's been one of his downfalls, Dole, is the starting. He's, you know, they're on the improve, the Bartley Construction guys, all season. As we see Red Pumps that had a bit of a cover on them, they tacked out for clear air, so has Shebang, Bella Group, Modern Concept, is it? No, Contemporary Pools, sorry, and Fire Stopping all tacking out there. That's Contemporary Pools without any signage on their sail there.
Might have got it. Oh, I think Saint got a new mainsail or a couple of new sails for the Contemporary Pools.
The all-important Keg Cup.
Daryl Millam on the helm today. They could be a smoky.
Well, Daryl's, for a bloke that has retired from full-time sailing, I think he has only missed a handful of races this season, filling in for everyone, which is good to see that he's hanging around and helping out to make sure that we get a good fleet on the water each day, Dol.
And if you're going to get a replacement, he's a pretty handy replacement steering a 16-foot skiff, Daryl.
Pretty handy, yes indeed.
So yeah, just looking back there, the boats you can see there that tacked away early. And the boats you can see in the top of your screen are the boats that have continued on starboard tack over towards Kilburn Towers.
There was an IOU just given there from Davis Marine on Imey at the top of screen.
Davis Marine looking good along with Imey Imagine signage and Moonin coming out of there nicely, but Red Pump's coming back on starboard on a fairly good lane. You'll see them come into shot in just a second.
Yeah, that early tack out has definitely got them back in the mix early, right, Dole?
Yeah, they got a bit of clear air, put the foot down, put the bow down and went fast. It hasn't done them any favour. The only sterns they took then was Imagine Signage and Imey. So nice work from Tyler and the boys. Looks like Davis Marine starting to fall into the line there of Imey. Imey holding good height. Looks like a bit of twist for Nathan there on the Davis. It looks like they're just starting to find a bit more height now. Some of the skiffs starting to get mixed up with this yacht fleet. Looks like these yachts are doing like a sprint series, Jimmy, which doesn't bode too well for us because they'll be here all afternoon.
It's all right, though. The harbour, this harbour is for all of us to share.
It
So
is indeed, yeah.
And it's the joys of sailing on Sydney Harbour, of trying to duck and weave yourself around everything known to mankind.
It is. It's a busy day here in Manly today.
And just there, the Botany scaffold, Georgia steering, was just on a really nice wave there. She probably took about 3 boat lengths to weather on the wave pattern that she was just on. So
yeah, Georgia with Felix Prince on today. He normally lives in Sydney, but normally sails at Belmont on the Swell Racing, one of the top skiffs we've seen performing really well. So Felix is a great replacement to have on board there today. I'm sure he'll do a fantastic job for Georgia. Just tacking now above that line of yachts, looking for a clear lane of breeze.
put the mocker on Felix there, Dole, on the tack.
I did a bit of a shaky tack there, was it?
Yeah.
They're up and running now pretty good. Just looking there now, you can see red pumps going back, but looks like Imagine, you can just see Moonin there. The boats that are coming back from that sort of mid-course have done pretty well. So both red pumps did well sort of in that mid-right, and now the boats that in the second phase went to that mid-right have come back well too. So it's looks like the breeze has maybe taken a little bit of a tick back to the right again.
But increase in pressure when you look up the course, Dole.
A little, yeah, it's looking good. It is looking good, Jimmy. You can see past Davis Marine there, bottom of screen. There's Imagine you can see now. So it's going to be pretty close at the moment between Imagine and Moonin. But what we've seen so far is each time someone sort of splits away, there's been losses and gains. So it is very shifty. This breeze, which had gone a fair way left, has taken a little tick back from the right. So these boats that are coming back on starboard have made a significant gain.
And in the back of that shop just before, we had Davis Marine and Modern Concept Constructions on the charge as well. So
yeah, a little hinge on what Imagine and Moonin tack on here, won't it, Jimmy? What they go back on. Imagine looking pretty good at the moment. Sorry, just a little, we're back with you, just a little technical issue for a minute there. So Imagine clear ahead of Moonin. Moonin's going to come right in here on Flagstaff Point. They're tacking now. They didn't want to get anywhere near Imagine's gas. It looks like both these boats are going to cross Davis Marine and MCC. Imey also coming in towards Flagstaff. Once again, looking very high on starboard at the moment, so I don't think they'll be looking for a header to tack onto here. Not far behind them, red pumps, so Dransfield and red pumps red. usual suspects we're seeing at the front of the fleet so far. A long way to go in this race. About to see Davis cross in front of Imey there. There they go now. And you're about to see Red Pumps Red. There they are. So Zoe's going to have to go in a fair way here just to get a clear lane. She's not far off tacking, but she's just got to find a lane. Her next problem will probably be that Modern Concept will tack in her air a bit further up. Nice work. So that's Zoe Dransfield with Hugh and Jamie Stoddart.
And not much of a tide, Dole, like a high tide at, 2:52 of 1 metre, and that was from a 0.6 at 9:10 this morning, so there's not much tide to play with here.
Yeah, it's only a little bump, isn't it? Not a lot of differential.
No, definitely not. Guess the guys in Darwin would like a tide like that once in a while.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the incoming will make the breeze feel a little bit softer because you'll be, as you're sailing across the heads here, you're getting carted by the tide away from the breeze. So that effective sort of one knot probably of tide makes the breeze feel 1 knot less in strength. We just saw Modern Concept tack there. They're just coming into shot now. They've tacked in a pretty nice position there, I think. A nice little bit of breeze filling in from the left. They're not flat out, but Chris just trimming a little bit of sheet there, but not enough breeze that they're putting the bow down and charging though, are they?
No, they're not, Dole, but that's enough that you know that you're comfortable on wire, and there's Imagine signage on screen, still heading at this stage south. So, and they're sort of over towards the middle head part where Modern Concept before was more at the quarantine side of the course. So quite a big split there, as you can see those two there on screen now. Between the two as Imagine signage just tacked. So interesting,
the fleet splitting multiple times. Even in this, we've only sailed half the work so far, and we've had a number of the top boats split tacks quite substantially. At the moment, we've got MCC and Imey, along with Red Pumps in the left-hand side of the course, and we've got Imagine, Moonan and Davis in the right-hand side of the course. So you can just see the cross slowly coming up here now. That'll give us a bit of an indicator of what's been working. Each time boats have taken a little hitch out to the right, they've made a little bit of a gain. So it's really a matter of tacking on those shifts, making that split work. Just trying to get an eye on the top mark. Jimmy, I've got it right out there. So we're just in the middle of the heads and just outside the heads. So great place to be sailing out here. Open water. Starts getting a little bit bumpy, makes it challenging for the sailors.
My only comment there to Felix on the botany scaffold is working that main a hell of a lot. We've got 3 laps of this, probably working about half of that, but then again he's more than half my age, so he can probably go the whole 3 laps.
Yeah. Felix a bit more used to sailing in the flat water of Belmont too, so working, like I say, out between the heads here, it's starting to get pretty bumpy. Where they are now, right in on the cliffs of North Head, you also get the rebound off the rocks. You get a very confused seaway.
Make tacking very difficult.
It does, yeah. So they got out of there nicely. They're in good shape. And there's Altus Consulting, Jimmy, that you said you expected to be in the mix today.
Yep, absolutely. Like any time it's fluky, Phil Cook just rises to the top. But The other one just not on screen, just to the right of that shot is the shebang with Taylor Lee's steering. So that's awesome to see. First up, already up there. So Tony just dipping Davis Marine there on screen, Dole.
Yeah, so the boys on the Davis Marine, Nathan McNamara, skipper. He's had a very good 18-footer. JJ Giltnan sailing the Smeg. One of the few races that won a race.
Won a race, and as he said to me, that's all he wanted to do this season was to, well, obviously other than win it, but he really wanted to try and win a heat of the JJs, and it's pretty cool to put that bow in your quiver.
And did they win the handicap, I think, Jimmy, did they?
I think they did.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the handicap results on that one, so sorry.
I think they did, but yeah, well done to Nathan and the boys. There they are on screen there. And, you know, they've come into the 16-footers. They're on a charge, those guys. Their gears are a little bit tight. You know, I could see if they upgrade a bit of gear and keep spending time in the boat, I'm expecting them to be real challengers in the national titles next year. Well and truly been in the mix all season. Davis Marine are a marine boat brokerage business. I think they have a few outlets, but they're located at Ferguson's Marina at the Spit, where I tend to spend a bit of time. We've seen another big split. So you're looking at Imagine there at the moment, and a long way out on the right of them is MCC, Modern Concept Constructions.
And even further out that way, Dole, is Moon and Yachts.
Yeah. So when we get an intersection of these boats, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Starting to get on an approach to the top mark. So there's looking up from Red Pumps and IME. Red Pumps Red, no, that's Red Pumps, yeah. With IME, they're giving chase to Modern Concept Constructions. There they are now. As always, our mate Rob Napper on the IME working exceptionally hard, getting the boat through these choppy conditions. Rob very good at working his weight, working the boat, pushing it hard, never gives up from the time they start to the time they finish. There's a great shot of them there just punching through the waves, always shifting his weight. Jimmy will tell you he taught him everything he knows.
Yeah, he did teach me everything I know.
Rob Napper, one of the exceptional long-term forward hands of the 16-foot skiff class. And I think these days, he's come back from an injury. He works in the fire brigade. I think he's the fittest I've ever seen him. Worked really hard this season, really hard. That's Imagine signage, just working that port ley line back to the top mark. Looking pretty good at the moment, I think. But still, it looks like Modern Concept have managed to tack on top of him and give him a bit of gas. So Nathan Wilmot's decided to put the bow down and try and get as fast as he can to try and break that that cover, which he's probably done by now. And just coming into shot in a moment, you'll see Moon and Yachts. There they are.
And MCC having to take a big duck on them.
So Moon and Yachts leads. Daniel Turner. Going quick too. So Moon.
Well, Gussie's all well rested, mate. After last week, he was in the bow of the fin port. So,
yep. And Finn Rodowitz on board today. You know that guy just keeps astounding me in the 18-footers.
Absolutely, and probably a bit more height and leverage with Finn on board over Matty.
Just a bit. Or MCC trying to push inside and get boy room, which I think they're going to achieve. We'll see. Looks like Moonen might be able to just get the bow away. There they go. Super tight at the top here.
Wow, not bad.
Moonen, MCC and Imagine throw a blanket over the three of them. Lovely set from the Moonen. Wow.
Actually, on all three of them.
All three pretty good, but Moonen absolutely nailed that. What a great shot, the three of them. So starboard jibe over towards North Head, and next coming in we have Red Pumps Imey and Red Pumps Red. Closely followed by the Fluid Jimmy.
There you go, I told you.
Jeepers.
Shorten the odds.
Maybe Tammy might want to stay in Australia a bit longer.
And Clint might have found his new calling in life as a sheet hand.
Sensational. Lovely
That is
work.
awesome. Here's the Davis Marine coming around next with Botany Access and the Bartley Construction guys.
So Davis Marine just lost a bit in that last exchange. You know, they're right up there in the mix, and just a couple of tacks got them into a bit of trouble, and they've just lost a fair bit of ground there. They're followed by Botany Access, then Bartley Constructions, the Sutec boys, Botany Scaffold, and then the ageless Craig Fast Eddie Nichols in the Typhoon. Nicely placed, Craig Nichols today. Good work for a big skipper in a fairly light breeze. Next through is the Fire Stopping. Altus, gee, you put the mocker on them, didn't you, Jimmy?
I was waiting for you to say that, Dole. I was going to go the other way so you didn't see them, but is what it is.
And then we've got Musto Contemporary Pools. And following them up, it looks like we've got Red Concrete. The Shebang.
And the Shebang that they had a swim in attack, Dole, so...
Did they? And last will be Bella Group. Oh, who's in the tide up there, Jimmy? Can you tell who that is?
A white boat, I can tell you that much.
White hull.
Be the Musto, Dol.
Copy. Unfortunate for them. Looks like just as I was setting the spinnaker, they got a little unstuck. So we'll head on down the course and chase them downwind. Looking like a fair advantage at the moment to Moon and Yachts, and a bit of a tussle with MCC. Looks like those two boats have just had a little bit of a step out. We'll see that there'll be an intersection in a little bit. There's Imagine signage you're looking at there now. They're coming back on starboard jibe to meet up with Modern Concept Constructions and Moonen. So Imagine signage actually looking pretty good. Looks like they're on a bit of pressure with some depth. We're still a fair way to go, but we'll see what this intersection brings.
The lead boats are just going through the 13-foot skiffs that are on their way up to the top mark for the first time.
Yeah, we'll try and keep you informed when we can of what the 13-foot skiffs are doing. Placings.
Looking in the back of that shot, I dare say the Harkin has stepped out already to quite a little lead over the Sail Meteor at the moment, with the IME not far behind the Ebix.
So here we go. Imagine did cross behind MCC and Moonen, I think. Yeah. But tight racing at the front. One lap coming up, and coming up for finishing the first lap when we get to the bottom, and 2 to go. So still a lot of racing to go. Once again, Nathan Wilmot choosing to split from the opposition again on the downwind as they did on the upwind. You'd like to think that an Olympic gold medalist knows what he's doing.
You'd think so, but the one that's not on screen and well off screen is Tammy on the fluid. She's on an awesome let-down gust, and I reckon she's probably picked up three or four placings just
on that last little bit of downwind.
Last little downwind, just keeping a loose eye on her, so good work there.
Probably Clint with an opportunity to have his head out of the boat, picking a couple of shifts there too, probably helping. But wow, first time steering a 16-foot skiff. What a fantastic job she's doing. And I didn't get to speak to Tammy, but I think you did, didn't you, Jimmy, during the JJs?
I said hi. That was about the extent of a dull.
Okay, so I was wondering what her English is like.
Yeah, I think pretty good. Like, well, most of the team that was out from Germany spoke very good English. Yeah, there was two teams from Germany, 2 from the UK. So it was good to see. Spoke to the UK guys. They really like our nightclubs. I figured that much out.
Their English left a bit to be desired.
Yes. But no, all awesome guys, and I'm sure we'll see more of the international contingent for them back next year.
And hopefully a few jumping on a 16-foot skiff.
Yeah, why not? Come out early and we'll find you a ride.
So that's Red Pumps and Imey giving chase to the top 3. And it looks like Imagine just jibing there now. They were on port, but it looks like they're jibing in front of Modern Concept and Moonen a little bit further to leeward. There's the overhead shot you can see there. So Imagine signage jibed in Modern Concept's air. Start to give them a bit of dirty gas, and that's Moonen you can see in the background, but Daniel Turner running a fairly deep angle there, so it's actually a good thing. Sometimes when you're to leeward and behind there, you can go bow up on the 2 boats in front of you. But so far looking good for Daniel Turner. We've just had a ferry go through. That's going to chop the breeze up considerably, especially for that the 2 windward boats that we're looking at there now. You can see them there. That's them going through the wash from the ferry. Pretty big wake. And yeah, that's allowed Moonen to sneak through to leeward as they approach the gate. Which way would you be turning, Jimmy? Which one do you like?
I think you'd be taking the right-hand gate downhill.
Yeah, I think Ruffy, Daniel Turner might be committed to the left here because he ended up so low. We've got MCC, bit of playing a little bit of push you up there till he gets to the zone. Oh, and that's really put a bit of pressure on. So what you saw there is he put the pressure on. MCC has a spinnaker chute. Imagine signage doesn't. But unfortunately, Modern Concept just couldn't quite get enough to punch through then. would say that hands a little bit of an advantage to Moon and Yachts because he can go off and do his own thing while those two do battle with each other.
Imey just going around the left-hand mark with the two red pumps splitting marks, so we'll be pretty close between those two. Be the red pumps with Tyler steering, just leading his sister around the bottom mark by a couple of seconds.
Zoe doing the right thing and letting the sponsor go around first. Very polite of her.
I did ask that question, Dole, of were their team orders, and absolutely not.
Definitely not. No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, Greg's just happy to see people out here sailing and enjoying themselves, and if he can help out, he's more than willing to.
He certainly is. What a great supporter of skiff sailing Greg Windust is.
And sponsors a 13 with someone you might know in it too, Dol?
Yeah, my daughter's lucky, Bella's lucky enough to sail on the Red Pumps 13, but Greg has 3 16-foot skiffs out here now and a 13, and there may be more to come yet.
Maybe more to come?
Yes. Oh, very late drop here from the Botany scaffold. No pressure, team. Oh, dear. So dropping to leeward, a little bit tricky.
Get it in there, son.
No pressure, Kobe. Kobe Napper, son of Rob.
Just got to get that last little skerrick of it in as Bartlett Construction goes around the other mark.
Next in will be Craig Nichols in Typhoon, also flying an Imagine spinnaker, and the orange spinnaker you were just seeing then is Contemporary Pools, I think. That's fire stopping to weather of Typhoon. Typhoon will probably be able to sneak up and get around in front of, or maybe he won't. Yeah, maybe he will. Does have to give them room. There's Jimmy's pick, the Altus. He fully put the mocker on them, mate.
Good thing is, Phil's a nice enough guy that he'll still have a beer with me after he watches it back. So we'll start making our way back up through the fleet, and you got red concrete and fluid building coming around the bottom marks. I dare say I'll probably put the mocker on the fluid.
I think they must have had a swim, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll put that down to Clint not knowing how to go through the boat in a jibe.
Yeah, they were going really well and they've just dropped back suddenly there, so they must have had a little dip on the fluid building. So we'll start making our way up. That was the Imey.
Just going past the Typhoon. If Craig watches it back and he wants to listen, could do with a bit more vang on. Yeah, they are on screen with Altus in the background. And I think that's Contemporary Pools down along the rocks there.
Doing well, Contemporary Pools today. Well done, Saint and the boys. And there they are, Imagine signage. So we'll see. Haven't quite got a comparison between them and Moonen just yet. Also with Modern Concept Constructions, I can see Moonen way over
the top of screen there.
Top of screen out on the right. Like I say, these top boats continue to have massive splits. About to come back together shortly. Looking like
so with half of them going
advantage.
one way, Dole, sorry to jump all over you, half from going one way and half going the other way, does that mean only half of the fleet will get a call off Baz at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Who knows? We'll see. That's their problem, not ours, fortunately. But Moon and Narrow Cross, Imagine, didn't really have to pull away much. They just held their course, but super close. But we do still have Modern Concept Constructions punching out to the right-hand middle harbour side of the course. We do have a freshwater class ferry heading down the harbour towards us from Circular Quay, so that will bisect the fleet to some extent. Looks like the ferry's starting to take a little bit of a left turn. There he is there. Just taking a little bit of a left turn to get out of most of the boat's way. Most of the boats will pass to windward of the ferry. Moonan just taking a tack off the Flagstaff headland, and they'll make their way back out to the middle. But as mentioned, it looks to me like Modern Concept are going to find themselves on what you consider the wrong side of the ferry.
I don't know, Dole.
Ferry's taking a big turn now.
Big turn, aren't they?
Might be our mate Phil Barnett on the helm, perhaps. Seems to be being very cooperative, isn't he?
Very, very cooperative.
Big left-hand turn from the ferry. There they are now. If that is you, Phil Barnett, thank you.
Whoever it is.
Yeah.
We've noticed a lot with the ferries, and there's a lot of skiff sailors, ex-skiff sailors that work and drive on the ferries, or skipper the ferries, so they know the perils of what they went through.
Yes. Yeah, one ferry driver in particular, Bruce Jam Perry, who went through numerous days of terror crewing for me.
And there's the 13s in the background of that shot. We'll be with them live very shortly.
Coloured spinnakers you can see in the horizon of the shot there, but definitely Harkin leading at this point in time.
Harkin, Imey, Sail Media, I'd say there with the red chute.
Probably Cybertech.
Cybertech's got a grey chute, Dole.
Oh, that's a white one, isn't it? Yeah. There
Just
they
on
are,
the
the grey one on the
screen.
left. Yep.
Just sort of a bit trapped here in this corner, but we'll get the 13s on screen. And there they are. There's the Harkin out in front and controlling this race very nicely.
Pretty handy lead they've got there. I think it's the first time in a little while that Heidi and Orlando have had their combination back together. So
well, they've both been off doing a whole heap of different things as well, which is great to see. But and they're
sailing a number of different boats, both of them dabbling in the 29ers. Orlando is basically jumping on anything he can. I've often say to the youngsters, sail as many different boats as you can and learn as much as you can. Orlando came and did a little bit of VX1 sailing with us as well.
And that white chute is a Botany scaffold. There with Imey in the background.
Just trying to pick up who's who. Yeah, that's the Botany scaffold. Sophie Hart with Hugh Skeen.
And then the Cybertech group just coming into screen there with a grey spinnaker.
Of course, Ash Napper with Theo Franklin. Had a very good season. Just working our way up.
Just got a close cross to the left of screen of that last shot between the Moonan and Modern Concept, just about to come up.
Oh, super
Moonan
close. Big dip.
having to dip. But, back to some of the 13s in the background. That yellow spinnaker is Buck and Simple. You've got to say that one slow.
Yeah, Buck and Simple, and it certainly
and
is.
Ebix.
And Ebix in the foreground, yep. So, yeah, James Hopkins sailing with Harry Thomas today on the Ebix. James, another great young sailor who's worked his way up through the ranks from juniors into the more senior fleets. He's also doing a bunch of match racing. He's got himself a foiling moth, sailing everything he can.
There's the red pumps.
Red pumps,
on
13.
screen.
Donnie Rowlandson and Bella Davola. Not too far behind the leading pack there. Could do better, guys. Come on, lift your game.
Only you can say that, Dol.
Might be some discussion over the dinner table tonight. But yeah, 13 sailing exceptionally well.
And for a lot of these young teams, Dol, it's the first time I think they've been on this southeast track, or relatively southeast track, where we're coming just to the limits of the harbour.
Yeah, sailing in these really bumpy conditions. I know Orlando and Heidi have been, in the last 2 years, spent a lot of time out here practicing for a day like today, so no surprise to see them out in front. I know one day Orlando might have been out with one of the boys actually. They went way out here and broke a wire. Might have been a backstay, I think, and were lucky to make it back to the club. So there's a lineup of sort of the chasing pack. Good gain to Zoe in red pumps. Red, she's gained a little bit of an advantage over red pumps.
Imagine signage. It looks like they've potentially opened up this lead a little bit over Modern Concept Constructions, which isn't quite there on shot, but
here they come now.
Here they are.
Yeah, good gain. Once again, that little chip to the right. Since this breeze took a little tick back to the right, it looked like it was going to go to a really nice sou'easter, but it's gone settled into sort of south-southeast. Since the breeze did that sort of middle of the track seems to be paying. Just finding the right time to come back on starboard on a lift. Quite tricky to pick. Nathan Wilmot just looking over his shoulder there, checking on his opposition. I think he's just weighing up whether to take one back and just cover off, making sure Modern Concept Constructions and Moon and Yachts, and coming back into the fray is Imey. Just not letting them get too far inside him, but he's on a pretty good line of breeze here, so he's continuing on.
An MCC comfortably across Moon in there, so
yeah, we've just got Bella Group. There they are. They've had a little bit of a swim between the heads here, unfortunately. They're just desperately trying to get that spinnaker tucked back away. But it looks very, that spinnaker looks very tangled up in their trapeze wires and
very
shrouds.
wet and heavy.
Yeah. Modern Concept Constructions, front of picture there. You're looking down towards Moonen and Imey. Out of shot on the right is...
Dol, I'm just looking back at that spinnaker that is wrapped around the side stay like you wouldn't believe.
It's a mess. Yeah, viewers
There
can
it
see
is
that
there.
tight spot in the middle. That's all wrapped up in their trapeze wires and shrouds. That's not going to come out really quickly. Moonin just starting to roll over the top of Imey there a little. Looks like good speed on both boats, but Daniel Turner trying to put a little bit of hurt on Joel Beashel. You don't want to give that young guy an inch or he'll take a mile.
Absolutely.
Super talented, real one to watch in the future in any sort of boat. The Beashel family, name synonymous with skiff sailing in Australia. MCC there now, and top of your screen there you can see Imagine signage coming back. Now Imagine signage look like they're coming back on a huge header, which I think is going to play into Modern Concept Construction's hands for a little bit of a gain. I'm not sure whether Modern Concept will cross them, but they're certainly going to gain a bit of time there. Looks like Imagine will cross them, but they've given a little bit away. Although we're not there yet, stand by for this cross. But yeah, Imagine coming back on quite a header, which means Modern Concept are on the lift. On the lifting tack, the starboard tack at the moment. There we go. Imagine managing to tack clear ahead. I'll lead them into this top mark. Just your shot there looking into the glare as we are. Sun starting to get a little bit lower in the west.
To note, Dol, just to the right of that camera shot at the moment is Tony Ellis, 53 Sydney to Hobart races, out watching the 16s. He has no other interest in the 16s other than when he's down from Port Macquarie, stays at Manly and comes down to the club to have dinner. So
Loves sailing.
Loves sailing. Good to see him out here watching the 16-foot skiffs race. Affectionately known as Ace or Grumpy.
I was going to say, what affectionately known as what, Jimmy? And you've answered the question before I asked it. Grumpy. Not that he always acts grumpy, he just looks grumpy.
One of the seven dwarfs.
So Moonin around in third. Little bit of a gap opened up between Modern Concept Constructions and Moonin Yachts. Next in will be the Imey. Oh, Moonin tight little squeeze over the top of Red Pump's Red. Red Pump's Red being held out there for a moment because they've got red pumps on their hip. Weren't able to tack. But Zoe has pulled the trigger going fast and she'll just roll in over the top there and sneak the tack on inside. Brother Tyler. Little Simo tack. Oh, not flat. They need to get away here. Oh, and a few words.
The games continue.
A few words between the family there. Tyler just giving Zoe a little bit of stick. And now gets the set done, rolls over the top. Are they going to steal their wind? Yes, they will.
But good on Zoe's crew for not hitting the panic button then, Dolan, jumping out on wire and dragging it back in on top of them.
Backwards, true, Jimmy. Very true. Pretty cool heads on Hugh Stoddart, mate. You don't find too many skiff sailors with a cooler head on them than Hugh Stoddart. Just behind us, Sutek, the next one round. So good gain to Sutek. They were a little bit deep.
On the Sutek too, Dole. Not on the shot, but that's okay.
That's a good gain to them. They were a little bit deep and they've come back into it. So well done to Mikey and the boys. Simo jibe between the two red pumps boats, so the battle continues.
We might. MCC and Moonan there on screen. We might have to give you a sneaky camera to take along to the Red Pumps season party, Dole, just so we can get the inside running.
I don't know whether Greg will allow cameras at the...
Well, that's what I'm saying, a secret camera.
Zoe managing to roll over the top there, so back to advantage Zoe in the Battle of the Dransfields.
And Dole, I've just noticed our new friends, the Texco 16ft Skiff, look like they're limping back home, so disappointing for them. Probably the conditions out here are a bit much to take on with a bit of time out here.
Yeah, new to the boat, they're new to the class.
The boat looks awesome.
Does great signage, isn't it?
Yeah,
so,
love it.
Yeah, they're heading downwind without a spinnaker at the moment, so we're not sure exactly what's going on there, but they're a little bit behind. They might be just licking their wounds and heading back. It's the Red Pumps, 2 Red Pumps boats, and that's Shutech giving chase with the white spinnaker. Shutech coming right back into this. So Mike, Josh and James coming right back into play. Meanwhile, the battle at the front continues, or just behind the front with the 2 Red Pumps boats. There's Imey currently in 4th place. So they're giving chase to Imagine, Modern Concept Constructions and Moonan. There's the line up there now, so Imagine with the advantage at the moment. Once again, good speed being shown by Modern Concept Constructions downwind. Really working the boat well. Just that little bit of a gap, Moonan having to jibe.
Yeah, well, they were very close to Australia then, Dole, so they didn't really have much choice.
Yeah, it's like they had to jibe. And Modern Concept won't be far off a jibe themselves, starting to get pretty soft under North Head. There they go now, and you'll see Imagine go with them, I would imagine, pardon the pun.
Good pun, Dole. So we're just coming down through the 13s, and that's the Harkin extending their lead. Just hope the Moonan guys have seen the Harkin below their spinnaker. Heidi did the nice thing there.
It looks like Harkin, Imey and Sail Media, Jimmy.
It's the pep talk I gave him before we came out, Dol. It's good to see so many of the sponsors of the main boats are also sponsoring the 13s, and you know, hopefully that opens up the door for a bit of a pathway for some of these 13 kids to step on through.
Yeah, it certainly does, and I think that's a bit of a contingency from those sponsors. I know Greg Windus from Red Pumps were talking about how many boats he sponsors. He's certainly looking towards the future. His own kids coming through the 13s as well. I don't think it'll be too long before we see Harvey and Levi a few years' time in the 16-foot skiff class. So looking for the next jibe angle is Imagine Signage and Modern Concept. It's turning into a real battle between these two and Moonan Yachts.
Which has sort of given Moonan a chance just to do their own thing, Dole, and you know, you get caught up in the battle rather than the fight. And
yeah, so where you want to go, clean air, while these two are messing around with each other. Daniel Turner can just pick a few gusts and try and get himself back into this leading mix.
What was the points difference, Dole, between Modern Concept Constructions and Moonan? That was only a couple of points,
very
wasn't it?
little, yeah. It's 9 points to Modern Concept and 11 points to Moon and Yachts.
Modern Concept looks like they've rolled down over the top of Imagine Signage here, so starboard advantage to Imagine Signage if they can stay low, because the marks are still low, and there's Moonin in the background.
Moonin looking on a nice little puff over there if they can find one to jibe back on. If they can find a puff and jibe with a bit of depth, here they go now. They're jibing now.
I was going to say, you want to jibe soon, Dole. There is a inbound to the quay.
Freshwater class
ferry.
And he's picked a nice angle, Moon and Yachts. He's not going to lead, but he's certainly going to close the gauge that he had with Modern Concept and Imagine. And if Daniel Turner can pick his line into this gate well, he'll be doing it in one jibe, and Modern Concept and Imagine will be doing it in two jibes. So yeah, he's probably half the distance he was when we passed last time at North Head. So nice work from the Moonin boys. Once again, Imagine and Modern Concept are going to mess with each other coming into this gate, looking to try and get a bit of advantage, and there's going to be a 13-foot skiff on starboard tack come into the mix here. Nathan Wilmot chooses to jibe away.
And I think Nathan used that as a bit of a blocker.
Yeah.
Bit of match racing.
But we'll have Modern Concept will take the left-hand gate first, so we'll call them the leader. And then over on the other gate there you can see Imagine Signage leading Moon and Yachts around the right-hand turn. So we saw that last time, the separation at the gate, and taking that gate solo worked out to be pretty productive.
Just to the left of those two is the Imey just going through the lee of the ferry, the Queenscliff. There they are.
And also having that same 13-foot skiff. I think it was the
young Bartley team.
Yep.
And it's good to see, like, you know, the 16 guys actually giving the 13 guys a bit of respect these days. Like, I know back in our day it was a bit of argy-bargy and push them out of the way, but it's good to see that they're, you know, all part of the, you know, and respecting the rules of racing, obviously, the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a bit of intimidation went on years ago. None of that anymore.
We've got a laser joined our fleet for some reason.
Yeah, using our mark for a bit of practice, I think, but he'll soon get out of the way if he's got a bow pole coming towards him. Jousting sticks. Unfortunately, Zoe had to do a little double jibe there just to get under the mark. That was a little bit of little expensive. She gave away a little bit of the advantage that she'd got over Tyler in red pumps. Both boats with spinnaker chutes makes the drop very quick and easy, and they can do it late.
The advantage, though, of doing two little jibes versus trying to run dead square, like the benefits outweigh the loss in that aspect also.
Yeah.
For the young kids watching at home, if you're wondering, do I just square up or do two quick jibes? Two quick jibes is definitely the answer.
Especially if there's a bit more breeze than this. That running deep and square can be pretty dangerous when the breeze gets up.
And any seaway or waves.
Yeah. And there you've just seen the Sutec get around and once again closing down the distance.
They had a Red Bull or something halfway around the racetrack, Dole. They're absolutely flying.
Yeah, maybe. Michael Kerner there steering and tidying up the spinnaker bag drop. Nice work. He wasn't quite happy with the job that Josh had done.
I'll leave that one for you, Dole.
Yeah, I'll see you after, Josh. I'll buy you one of those free beverages at the club. Club Championship
Botany
Day.
Scaffold. Georgia.
Next in.
Doing a great job here. George has been out injured a bit this season, hasn't she, Dol? Or
Well, Alana's been definitely,
Yeah.
she's badly injured, unfortunately not sailing. George has been pretty good, and I think it was last weekend, maybe the weekend before, Georgia and my daughter Bella went to Belmont and
with Sarah Lee,
with Sarah Lee on the helm, and had an all-girls crew at Belmont, which was fantastic and a great opportunity for my daughter Bella to sail with last year's national champion and Georgia and Sarah, great role models for girls in sailing, showing what can be done, and obviously Sarah winning the national title, just phenomenal. And Belmont did a day where they had girls invited to sail on skiffs with the male crews, but the girls decided they'd do an all-girl team, the only boat to do that. So well done to the girls, and well done to Belmont Skiff Club for encouraging women in sailing.
Here we go. I've just found our little Texco friends with the spinnaker up, Dole, right in front of the camera cat.
Maybe they just needed to get inside the harbour where it settled down a little
flood
bit.
of water.
Yeah. And still going by the looks of it, so well done.
Yep. There they are on screen. Good on them.
Angus and Goro. There they are. That's a great looking spinnaker. We're just giving them a bit of encouragement from the camera cat. They give us a thumbs up.
Even better.
Back to the action. Modern concept.
Turned out to be quite a nice day on the harbour, Dole, and I guess the yachts that we had the little bit of crisscross with it to begin with have all gone home, so got pretty much this part of the harbour to ourselves.
It's not too bad, yeah. Yeah, we could do with a couple more knots, it'd be nice, but
can't have everything.
Can't get everything we wish for. But what we are getting at the front of the fleet, it's still tight at the top between the three main protagonists of Imagine, Moonin Yachts and Modern Concept Constructions. This race is a long way from over yet between those three. Bigfoot 13 with Modern Concept. Modern Concept are going to roll over the top of them, unfortunately, and give them a bit of gas. So, Bigfoot Bags and Covers, great supporter of skiff sailing in Australia as well. They're sponsoring various different classes of sailing and events. Thank you, Mark Sear, for all your support over the years. There's Davis. Unfortunately, Davis have just dropped off the pace a little bit. They're still hanging in there, but you know, they were showing good early form in this race and they just got a little bit lost at one point. Modern Concept just tacking back to come back towards the opposition. It looks like Imagine signage will cross them. Our shot there makes the distance look a lot more than it actually is. But yeah, still in the mix. There's Moonin, and not too far from them. They'll probably appear in shot shortly. Will be Imey. Similar distance behind Moonin as to what Moonin is behind Modern Concept and Imagine. And interestingly, you know, we saw the splits last time. As we're getting towards the end of the race here, Nathan Wilmot starting to sail the opposition. He's not splitting away. He's staying to windward of Modern Concept and making sure the next two boats, Moonin and Imey, are to leeward of him, not letting anyone get inside him and getting a shift.
Make for a peaceful Monday at Brookvale in the loft.
Well, he mightn't get called an idiot, so... But we're not there yet, Jimmy.
No. As we've seen down the last run, it
can all change pretty quickly.
And Moonin's been one of the quicker boats off a breeze for quite a few years, and they're not going away without throwing everything at it here, Dol.
Yeah, the only thing is, Jimmy, I think they're probably carrying a bit more weight with Finn Rodowitz on board, which will be giving him a bit of a gain upwind, but probably a little bit of a loss downwind.
Very close cross there between the MCC and
certainly
Moonin.
Was a bit of a close from Moonin. They've taken a little bit of distance there. But yeah, certainly very close. I wouldn't want to pick it at this point in time.
This is exactly where the cool heads come into it. And there we are.
I've got to say, though, all three of these guys, pretty cool heads. Nathan Wilmot, Kurt Hansen and Daniel Turner, three very cool customers when it comes to sailing a skiff. Pretty calm, collected.
Nipping right at their heels, just off this group of three, is the Imey. They're just hanging in there or abouts, and you know, these three have only got to get tangled up between each other. With Moonin Yachts tacking back to come back at MCC, so we'll see how this shapes up.
You know, I've got to say, the last 200 metres, Imagine tacked right in on North Head and picked a really nice left-hand shift. They've just fallen off it now, but for 200 metres they were well bow up compared to Modern Concept and Moonin, and that's just given them probably an extra 50-metre advantage there. Nicely picked by the Imagine signage guys.
And I'm just looking up towards the top mark, Dolly, and the 13-footers just going around with the Harkin, extending their lead up there.
Yeah, they'll go up.
Here's Imey. Just shows how close they are to Moonin. They're not, you know, what would you call that, Dole? How many boat lengths would you say?
Oh, I'd call that 6,
yep.
I think. Like I say, plenty still in this. And there are a few shifts to be picked yet before we get to this top mark. Interestingly, Modern Concept Construction's at the moment the furthest right. So if these guys go bow down a bit, which it looks to me like Moonin Yachts are right now.
And there's the Harkin on screen, the 13, flying downhill, and it looks like Cybertech Group has got to second and Botany Scaffold third in the 13s.
So a little bit of a shake-up there, but certainly Harkin have extended massively. They are probably at least two minutes in front, I'd reckon. At least that's what it looks like from here. So
Yes,
Heidi Bates and Orlando Sadlick once again stamping their authority on the 16ft Skiff Club Championship race.
You know, they had a bit of a wobble at the last club championships when it was a double day, so you know, good to see them back in form and trucking along.
Were they together that day, Jimmy?
No, they weren't.
They weren't.
But the boat and
Different different. So I think Jess Isles has filled in a couple of times.
Jess was on here with us, so was, believe it or not, was Grantley
from Harkin.
From Harkin, as
Yep.
well as Bill from the US, their CEO, was on board here with us to see how it all happens. So told them that they just keep sponsoring the boats and don't come out in the water and watch, and the boat will get back to leading. So g'day to Bill and Grantley.
There's Cybertech. Ash and Theo. Yeah, and it looks like Sail Media and IME, back there they are now. Sail Media with the red, IME with the orange. Looks like they'll be followed by Buck and Simple. But Harkin is in another postcode.
They are gone. So there's the IME 16 on screen, just behind the Modern Concept Constructions. There's the IME 13-foot skiff on screen.
Just behind the Sail Media.
So there you go.
You've got to plug your company, Jimmy, every time you can. Come on, mate. Sail Media 13. Great looking boat, the Sail Media 13 too.
Meant to look like the little Yendies, mate.
Yep. Great shot. Great shot. Oh, the IME just starting to roll over the top a little there. Got on a wave.
And the Sail Media boys did the right thing and jibe out. And the two IMEs crossing each other, and we're back to our leader here in the 16s, being the Imagine signage.
Yeah, he's just managed to leg out just at the right time, Nathan Wilmot. Critical time in the race here. He's got his opposition right where he wants them. The only one who he hasn't got tucked away to leeward is Moon and Yachts, who are basically on his line. I think they're all underlaid at the moment, so still a couple of tacks to go yet. But yeah, Nathan Wilmot, being an Olympic gold medalist, his tactics are usually pretty impeccable, especially the boat-on-boat stuff, coming from a One Design 470 background. Definitely sailing the opposition, and there goes Modern Concept just tacking out now, trying to get some clear air. He's got to try and make a gain somehow, and he's not going to do that just following. Coming into shot shortly will be the intersection between Modern Concept Constructions and Moon and Yachts. It's going to be fairly close. Modern Concept Constructions manages to cross in front of Moon and Yachts. Modern Concept continuing out to the right, so indicates that Moonan's well under a lay line still. Once again, Imagine coming back just to cover off on Modern Concept Constructions. He'll lead them into the top mark. It's him tacking now. So he should be on a lay line for this top mark. A little bit of swell building right now too, a little bit more than we had earlier on. There's a tide starting to, probably just starting to decrease a little in flow. imagine signage look like they should lay this in. Modern concept constructions look a little bit skinny on their ley line, but they will get there, I think.
very close finish between Botany Access and Davis Marine.
Good race from Botany Scaffold, Georgia Clancy, to hold off those two at the
So,
end
Dole,
there.
just go back over those results because I think we dropped audio just there.
Oh, did we? Okay.
So just go back
We've
over
had a
those
few
results.
technical problems. So in the actual finish order today, we had Imagine Signage first, Moon and Yacht second, Modern Concept Constructions third, IME fourth, Red Pumps Red fifth, Red Pumps sixth, and Sutec Building Consultants seventh. And what that's done to the overalls, by my calculations, but stand by for official confirmation after racing, is Modern Concept Constructions lead on 12 points, Moon and Yachts in second on 13, and Imagine Signage on 14. So 1 point separating each of the top three. We then go back to Red Pumps, Tyler Dransfield on 20, Red Pumps Red, Zoe Dransfield 21, and IME Joel Beashall also on 21. So very tight with the top three, and then close once again with only 1 point separating fourth through to sixth, Jimmy.
It's incredible for a season that we've had and to be that tight. So good to see from everyone. Well, I think what we might do, as we got the Bartley Constructions and the fire stopping coming down to finish, we might wrap up proceedings from today's Heat 7 of the Club Championship here at Manly 16ft Skiff Club. It was an awesome race right to the end. Some very, very close racing at the front of the 16 fleet. Congratulations to the winners and also to young Heidi and Orlando in the 13s that put on a very clean set of heels. So that was good to see. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks to round out the club championships here at Manly 16ft Skiff Club. Thanks to Dolly for joining us again today, Jono for jumping in again, Piers, Sammy, and big special thanks to Chits that pulls it all together. And when we do have those tech issues, Chits is the one that's on his job list as well. He gets the joyous job of trying to patch us back into the world and get these awesome pictures to you. So thanks to this team. And I've been Jimmy Bury, and this has been a Sale Media production for the Manly 16ft Skiff Club. Good evening.
Good afternoon.